Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. Oh, sorry. Are we good, Todd? Okay, thank you. We'll have to excuse Alan, and I don't know if we want to make a note that Tracy can't speak at the moment, but I think she's still involved. So could I have a motion to excuse Alan for now? Lionel moves. All in favor? The minutes from the last meeting on April the 23rd were circulated. Any comments, Molly? You're moving? Molly moves as circulated. Any discussion at all? Seeing none, all in favor of accepting? Fine, thank you. Are there any post-agenda items from anyone? Seeing none, could we have a move for the adoption of the agenda? Yubi? Yubi moves, all in favor? That is passed. Going to development report, staff has put it in our agenda. There were 3 items. Are there any questions? Any clarifications necessary? Anne-Marie?
Okay, 2 of the permitted uses are mentioned, and the 3rd one, it just has a number of a company, and I just wonder what they are doing.
The 3rd one is for an existing dwelling outside of Bazzano.
Thank you, Shanalee. Anything else? Okay, we'll accept it as information.
Oh, Kelly has something to say.
Kelly, sorry.
Just referring to that, it says Division 7 on the report. Outside of Rosemary, maybe?
It's nice. That's the Johnson. Yeah, so just to clarify where it is.
It's for the Sundial feedlot, right? It's for their farm. So it is an incorrect division number.
Thank you.
Okay, everyone fine? Then moving on to the development permits. Shanalee?
I have a request for decision for the send-out permit that was reviewed from the last meeting. We're recommending, after discussion with staff and MPC members, that we amend the development permit approval to provide an approval with the condition of E removed, which is the hours of operation.
Questions? Lionel?
Not a question, but I would move that that we do that amendment on that motion, and that we do eliminate from that development report.
Okay. Yes, Kelly?
I just want to clarify that not 7.1 is not a sundial application, as Shanalee stated, just for anybody that might be listening.
Sorry, Kelly, I didn't realize you were talking to me. It's the Sandow, which is the one in Scandia. That's the application that is 7.1.
Okay, I misheard you then. Thank you.
Okay, anything further? Lionel has made a motion to approve with the deletion of time. Are we ready for the question? In favor? That is passed. We have to move a motion, lift subdivision 20200029 off the table. Could I have a motion for that, please? Anne Marie? All- So it's off the table. Len?
Good morning, everyone. Hopefully you can hear me.
We can hear you, at least I can.
Okay, good. I had some technical difficulties, so I think they're smoothed out. We did receive the extension for this particular subdivision, 2020-0-029. The land is located in Division 8. It's approximately 6 miles, I guess, north of the village of Dutchess, and then 2 miles east of Highway 36. The intent is to create one new parcel, approximately 216 acres in size, by subdividing a 92.21 acre portion from a previously unsubdivided quarter section and then consolidating that with the northwest quarter of 95.50 acres, and Parcel B as well, 28.5 acres. This particular piece of land lies between two creeks, Massillon Creek, and then it aligns with a tributary to that creek on the southern property line. Currently, the parcel gains access from Township Road 215. The residual parcel that'll be left over on the southeast border will not have physical access, and it's suggested that the applicant provide an access agreement as a condition for subdivision across the southeast. The recommendation is to approve the subdivision, and the conditions are that outstanding property taxes be paid to the county, that the applicant enter into a development agreement with the county's rule, and that the applicant submit a copy of the Historical Resources Act clearance prior to registration of the plan of subdivision, and that the portion that is consolidated from the southwest quarter with the adjacent parcels be subdivided in a manner that the certificate of title could not be re-subdivided without the approval of the subdivision board. And that's about, yes, there was a request in the informatives from TC Energy regarding some of this right-of-way plan, and that's noticed in there. That's it.
Any questions? Clarifications? Yes, Kelly?
When do we deal with access to the outside parcel that you pointed out would not have access?
That'll be through the development agreement.
Okay. So it wouldn't be a condition of subdivision.
Yeah, you could add that as a condition, but it can be done with the development agreement as well.
Okay, Kelly? Okay. Brian?
My question revolves around the way the parcel is laid out on the map, and I'm assuming we can't do straight lines and it follows the Massillon Creek. So what happens when a creek floods and the demographics of the bank change and you know, suddenly somebody's land is on another parcel that's on the other side of the creek? Does that, I know it's like these things are very fluid, they move all the time, and I guess that's what it's just curiosity how you would deal with it if you end up with a piece of parcel that's actually not on your parcel because of the way the creek beds move.
Right, there are rules surrounding creek beds, and I think it's called evolution and where things lie. The solution is to have the lines drawn to the creek and surveyed, but that's an extremely expensive process. So they do sort of a best guess scenario at this point, and yeah, that's always a possibility though, is that there will be land that's across the creek and not. But this is, I think, still within the same ownership at this point. Sort of a best guess.
But it will be two different parcels, so the potential is to have that in a different landowner's name someday. And in fact, probably quite realistically, that's exactly what will happen, because why else would you subdivide a property if the intent is not to split it off someday? It might not be today, it might not be in 20 years, but someday that will be in somebody else's property.
Correct. Yeah, it's basically a cost factor for the landowner to do it this way is way, way cheaper. But yes, it does have impacts. It definitely has impacts. We did notify the Water Act group and I should say Alberta Environment, and they didn't deem the creek to be that significant.
Okay, Brian? Okay. Anyone else? What weight lens does something like recommendations? I mean, their recommendations, and what really does that mean?
Whose recommendations?
Well, TransCanada's put some recommendations at the end there, have they not? Are they not their recommendations? Whole page of them.
Yeah, they are basically just saying they don't want interference on their easement with development and roadways, etc. And they are willing to share GIS data with the owner to ensure that.
But aren't those kind of set rules of engagement or whatever? Common practice, I don't know what you would call it. Isn't that part of their lease agreement, or?
Typically, yes. Sometimes this might be a new person that's working with PC Energy or one of the first referrals they've gotten. So it depends on who gets it and how they deal with it. But yeah, this is typically not done to this level or degree.
Okay.
It's basically just saying, contact us if you want to do any development within a certain distance of our right of way.
Okay. Wayne, you have a question?
Yeah, I'm going back to what Kelly brought up there, is that access to the other part of the land. How would that be done? And how would the development permit handle this?
Did I find the note? Okay, see the erosion. Perhaps just to make it clear, then it would be better to add that condition, right? That the applicant provides for an access agreement across the southeast quarter of 332114. That's the source, and it's clear.
Yeah, because they're not validating that.
No.
Are they?
No, they're not. We can add that
As a condition?
as a condition, yes. I will make sure that's done and forwarded on.
And they could come back and consolidate the parcels? And then they wouldn't need it?
They could, but they'd have to do that again through subdivision.
Yep. Okay. Is that anyone opposed to that added condition?
Clarence, can I just make a quick comment?
Sure, please do.
It looks to me like there is a county road that is surveyed that goes to the adjacent residence. Jeff, I know that you're listening in, so maybe you could pop in here too. So it looks to me like there is physical access to that portion that is being subdivided. It's not a grid road, but it is a road that is county maintained. So I believe that would allow physical and legal access to that subdivision.
Yes. And that's correct. The road does provide access to the subdivision. It's the residual parcel that doesn't have access.
Okay, right.
So they would need to put that across.
So are we talking that small corner that's on the other side of the canal?
Yeah.
Okay. Jeff, go ahead.
Hello. Yeah, so I have been listening here. It is a bit of a different type of subdivision, and I guess the biggest concern is that the portion that's being subdivided off in the county only has access from Highway 1, in my opinion, and no constructed accesses, knowing that more than likely transportation would be very unlikely to grant an access from Highway 1. So what I can see is, you know, the subdivided parcel in the county, the portion north of Highway 1 needs physical access.
Jeff, we're talking about a different one here.
Sorry, we're talking about the Schaefer subdivision, right?
Cross Cooley.
No,
Oh, sorry. Obviously, I wasn't paying good enough attention. I'm sorry.
When we're talking about the little piece that's on the other side of the canal in the southeast quarter, I think.
Yeah.
In the southeast quarter there, the little section that's on the other side of the drain of the creek there.
Right.
Okay. Well, like we say, we do have a road allowance surveyed in to get up there to provide access. However, you know, access easements may be reasonable. So we're looking at the piece in the southeast quarter that doesn't have access.
That is correct.
There is a little, right on the very southern point, there is I don't know, like a flag type situation that does allow access to the undeveloped road allowance. And that's maybe why that was left off.
Can we perhaps table it and get some more information? I think everybody's kind of guessing a little bit here. I'm not sure, it just sounds like that to me.
I think the preliminary comments dealt with the, asked for that as a condition, but in the draft resolution, I don't see it being asked as a condition. And I'm just wondering if they pulled back the subdivided area to allow for that access directly onto the road allowance that's not constructed. Right on the very bottom corner, there is access to undeveloped. We can always put the condition on, and then they can just strike it off if that's the case. Right?
Well, that's fine too.
Yep, then it's satisfied and we can move forward.
Kelly?
My question is, how common is it to cut out a jagged piece of property like this and subdivide it off, I mean, we've got points, we 4 quarters. How common is this type of a subdivision?
It depends where it falls. Like in the mountain areas, it's quite common, but in the prairies, not so much. This one's being done basically to outline the creek, right? Because the creek's sort of a barrier, so it's following that. It isn't clean by any stretch.
So it's all around.
But it makes sense on the ground.
It's all around the topography that they're dealing with.
Yes.
So, but I do think that we don't want to get in a situation where something can be subdivided off and not have access, so. Sold and not have access. Anne Marie?
So, Clarence, if we table this for more information, are we running into a problem with the deadlines?
Staff? Lens? Anne Maria? Jeff?
Yeah. The agreement for extension goes to June 19th, 2020. That gives us till June 19th if you want to get this clarified first.
Jeff?
Hello, sorry, I'm on to this now. So what we're referring to is access to the remnant portion in the southeast kind of portion of the southwest quarter section. That's correct. Basically, the portion south of the coulee. Yeah, so I mean, a number of options. Obviously, through that road allowance that is attached to that parcel on the west side. While there is a small sliver based on the subdivision that still does connect to that, based on the topography of the land, there's no way that future physical access would be feasible in there based on where it is and environmental permitting and construction through that type of terrain. So while legal access is being maintained, we may be in the future putting ourselves in a bind for physical access should that ever be sold off. Like Len's mentioned, all 3 of the adjacent quarters to that remnant parcel are also owned by the same landowner. So looking and you may not have access on the map, zooming out a little bit further, maybe the access agreement should be across of the southeast of 33 for access to the southwest, the remnant portion in the southwest of 33. There is a road allowance that is accessible on the east side of the southeast quarter section, and looking at the aerial photography, it looks like there are existing trails and such from that road allowance that lead into the southwest remnant portion. So that would probably be the access that has been provided, but it looks like it also has been taken across the northwest of 28. So I think we could, Lens, maybe word a definition that legal or physical access is granted by easement, and we could work with which quarter section that got placed on. That could be a suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for some direction. Jeff?
I would suggest we place an access easement on the northwest of 282114 for access to the remnant in the southwest of 332114. like I say, it looks like from zooming out on the aerial photos, that's how access is being granted to that portion of land right now. It's not across the creek. It is coming from the south. So I would recommend that we put an easement on the northwest of 28 for access to the southwest of 33 as a condition.
Okay. Yes, Brian first, and then Kelly.
So I'd make a motion that to approve this subdivision with the condition that the remnant parcels provided legal and physical access. And I don't know if we have to be specific about where they provided from. I just think that we have to be specific that those remnant parcels have to be, access has to be provided.
Okay.
Is that okay? Is that wording okay, staff?
Yeah, that works for me. And we can work with it and ensure there is access provided and granted to that parcel.
Okay. Any further comments from staff? We're good? Okay, Kelly, you still have a question? You're fine? We have a motion on the floor. Is everybody understanding of what it is? Any questions? Any clarifications? Then I'll ask for all in favor. Opposed? Seeing none, this is passed. We'll move on to the remaining subdivision.
Okay, this is for subdivision 2020-0-050. It's actually a multi-jurisdictional subdivision. It's with the county of Newell and the town of Bassano. And the applicant is proposing to separate portions of two titles which are fragmented by Highway 1. One of the parcels is 10.13 acres, and the other is 75.15 acres. That lies south of the highway in the town. So the lands within the town of Bassano are currently vacant and have access to an internal road system. The lands within the county are used for agricultural purposes at this point. There is a large dugout and a cabin located on the eastern portion of the property. Access to that parcel will have to come off of Highway 1, and Alberta Transportation has said they would prefer a service road be put in place for that to occur. So the resolution is recommending approval of the subdivision. Conditions again are outstanding property taxes being paid, development agreement being entered into, and that a 30-meter wide service road shall be dedicated by plan of survey located perpendicular and across the highway frontage of the southwest quarter to comply with section 15.2 of the subdivision and development regulation. The applicant also is asked to contact Alberta Transportation to finalize that condition. So a service road shall be dedicated by caveat as well, and that the subdivided portion of Block 1 and Block 2 be consolidated to create a parcel legally known as Block 3, so that it could not be subdivided without approval of the subdivision authority. So it does comply with various plans and subdivision and development regulations. And there is information attached from Alberta Transportation detailing the service road plan. Now, Bassano will also receive a copy of this, and we'll also have to make a decision, and then we will submit both approvals concurrently to get finalization. That's it.
Any questions or clarifications? Callie?
So I have a couple questions. First one being pretty basic. Would this topic not be an IMDP discussion before it comes to council? If so, why did that not happen?
I believe the intermunicipal development plan with Pisano details why and when those things could occur, because I asked the same question and it's not needed at this time, according to the
Okay, that's not the way I understand the agreement. Second question. So the service road is planned to possibly provide access to the property or to the, how then are they going to get to their cabin? Because that's not described on this plan. The cabin is up around, or the camping area, it's a campground. So there's traffic that needs to get north from the service road. It looks to me like they're planning to use the EID canal, and I wonder if they have permission for that. Not be discussed with the EID.
my understanding is that that development already exists and there is access from the north to it, and that would continue. Or be rerouted, with the addition of the service road.
No, the access road is shown on this map that I'm looking at, and it's way north, and they no longer own the property up there. So they wouldn't be able to come from the north any longer.
Then they would have to come off the developed service road that they are required to put in.
Right, that would get them onto the property, but it doesn't get them north to the campground, and that's the access that I'm referring to. There needs a county road grid going out to the campground, and we haven't provided for that or shown that on this map at all.
Well, again, that's internal to the property and up to the property owner to provide once the service road.
No, that would be up to the county to make sure that we provide physical address to, or access to their homestead.
But the homestead isn't being subdivided out, it's being consolidated into the large parcel. So there is access.
I'll let somebody else talk about it.
Jeff?
Hello, all. In response to the first question asked there with the IMDP plan, so this was obviously circulated. It is a multi-jurisdictional subdivision, like Len's mentioned. So circulation came to the county as well as Pisano, and in our IMDP with Pisano, no meetings are absolutely necessary. It would be a referral through a written communication, email, letter, so on and so forth. It's really the direction we're trying to get all of our IDPs to go through, and only call meetings when they're absolutely necessary. And then the larger group would want to sit down and discuss them. As for the access to the parcel, what Len is mentioning is in the end, where this campground and the cabin and the pond in the northeast quadrant are located, it will be confined within one whole parcel, where the only road allowance touching will be Highway 1. So they will donate that service road allowance along Highway 1, where Alberta Transportation would expect them to build a county road within that service road allowance. and then they would take their access from that road to the parcel. So they would need to build a private driveway or something along that to get back into the campground camp area. I have no information, and I'd have to look up the previous permitting history on this campground to see if it might have been identified through a previous permit as to how they accessed it. But yeah, it does look like historically it came off of Highway 1 from the north from the aerial photos, but I can't offer much more than that, just a little bit more information on it.
Wayne?
Aren't we just responsible to make sure that we've got legal access to their property after that they're on their property? The road and the construction of that road is up to them.
Well, I'm hearing Jeff say that it's like a driveway.
Yeah, so I mean, if the applicant and the landowner did want a private road right up to the development, then they could definitely facilitate that. However, because it's not constructed right now and there are no road allowances leading up to the actual site where the cabin and the camp area is, they would then need to make that part of their application and dedicate that road allowance up there, construct the road for us to take it over and maintain it to get it right up to the development there. The situation that currently exists is it would be a long driveway or a long private road up to their development as it sits currently. But again, I don't have any information on the contact with the EID about use of the canal bank or future plans for road construction or anything like that. So sorry about that, but that would be how it would flow out.
But we're talking about that little triangular piece that's up against the canal, about halfway up.
No, I believe we're talking about the piece in the proposed subdivision with the large body of water sitting in it. I can zoom in on my map, but there's a row of campers parked along the road to the south of that body of water. It is on the north and west side of the canal.
Okay.
Not the, I believe, Poplar Grove campground, which is on the east side of the canal in the triangular shaped area. We're talking almost directly follow the canal to the south and west, and on the north side of the canal, just northwest of that pivot there's a big pond with some camping area, and I believe that's what we're discussing here. I hope I'm correct.
You're right, Kelly? Yes. Go ahead, Kelly.
Yeah, that's right. And again, my question is the same, but I think Jeff answered it. I didn't think about the 30-meter service road caveat being donated by the landowner. I guess we deal with the access road into the campground at another with a development permit later on. Is that what I'm hearing, Jeff?
Yeah, so I guess the one thing is, yeah, they would need to have a development permit to operate a campground. And like I say, I don't have any historical information on this, whether that has taken place, is going to take place, or how that's going to roll out. But yes, after the subdivision's completed, they're going to decide how they're going to take access to this campground, and we could definitely deal with that through the permitting phase. Probably they will have to come back and construct that service road at some point, so they will come back and talk to the county, but it will all depend on how they decide to take access to that development in the future, and whether they work with the neighbors to maintain an access easement in the interim. This 30-meter road widening and service road requirement may sit there for 50 years. We have it in a lot of places throughout the county where service roads adjacent to provincial highways have been taken, and we can see that from our line work, that there is an additional 30 meters adjacent to our right of way where no roads have been built. Maybe there's only one house there, but transportation requested that in the future, should you develop further than this, we'd like to see that road constructed so there's only one access off of the main highway, where there could be multiple accesses off of future development, off of the service road. Not high traffic, not high speed, making it safer by only creating one access point onto that major thoroughfare.
I just didn't want us to get into a position where we have to suddenly provide access for them. So as long as we're protecting ourselves that way, I'm good with this. And yeah, go ahead. Thank you.
Okay. Anything further? Ryan?
So I guess the questions that Kelly's raised are real good questions, but it points to the first one she asked, why wasn't this through IMDP? We have those committees for this reason. Those are valid questions. I would have asked the same ones. And but I'm not the counselor for that area, so I don't understand it as well as she does. And so we have the counselor for the area that's asking questions that should have been dealt with at an IMDP point. So that's my, I think we need to, if we're going to have IMDP committees, this is a perfect situation where it should have been utilized. And at least Kelly should have been aware of what's going on, I think a little bit ahead of time. And if she waived any questions, that's one thing. But I think the fact that the local counselor has issues with very good questions, I shouldn't say issues, but so I would like to ask staff to maybe keep that in consideration from future going on.
Absolutely, and totally understood. Like I say, there may have been a breakdown in this. We are looking to move towards more email circulation, which obviously did not happen here. But definitely, I 100% agree. We need to include the committee members and get these questions opened and aired out front, and responses provided to the applications and included on MPC's agenda for all of MPC to consider. So definitely point taken to review our processes when it comes to IDPs and making sure we're taking extra care in those areas for developments and subdivisions, and making sure the proper notifications and channels as per the policies are met.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Wayne?
I don't know if I should even bring this up, but I don't know, is that campground is a commercial? Like, does he rent spaces? Because if he does, and we have to get some emergency equipment in there, like an ambulance or something like that, wouldn't we be wanting a pretty good road? If it's raining like crazy and they've got somebody had a heart attack in there, how the heck do we get them out?
Very good question, and I guess I believe this is a question that's been around the table a few times here, right? Whether it's a commercial campground, whether it's a personal residence, whether what it is, and how we deal with length of driveways, length of travel across private property, who's responsible to maintain the state and keep them in a state of good repair so there is access and egress from these parcels. I'm not sure we've ever settled on any type of formal driveway standard, and I definitely think that some comments from emergency services would be warranted in this discussion, but it is definitely something we can put on the list for certain types of developments for discussion on a possible driveway standard, or maybe we don't want any types of these developments to be any further from X distance from a maintained roadway. Definitely some things that we can chase and follow up and see what other people are doing with regards to that, for sure.
Okay. Does anyone need to make a motion? Kelly?
So I'd be happy to make the motion. I just wanted to clarify that under the present ownership, this is a private campground and has been operated, and Molly knows this as well. It's been operated by a family and kept very, very quiet and private, but that's not to say that futuristically it couldn't be sold off. And you know, rightly so, the comments about access to the site in emergency situations, we have to be able to get there and get out again. So I'm just raising the awareness about the access, and want to make sure we as a county don't get in a position that all of a sudden we have to road to get them to and from the campground. But has addressed that. So I'm fine with making the motion to proceed with conditions.
Jeff?
Just as some further information, you know, maybe some of the benefits of these e-meetings, I can be sitting at my desk while we're all talking here and have the ability to pull up other information. So it looks like there was a permit of flavors, at least an authorization issued in 2002 to use the parcel of land as a campground. It talks about the number of sites, and the drawing submitted with it does seem like it is congruent with what is going on out there based on the aerial photograph. The one thing that it does show here is it shows the access to the campground and talks about the access to the campground. So in 2002, the access for the campground was taken from the north there. So right across from the Esso station, that access there into the field owned by the applicant in the southwest of 21, around the barn and south along the road that's very distinctly seen there. That is how access had previously been granted to the campground. And like I say, I do not have any idea whether they do or do not have plans to change that. And off the top of my head, without doing a little bit more digging, I do not know if there is an access easement in place across the southwest of 21 for use of the campground. That's where that stands right now, but just a little bit of historical information that we do have record of the campground being there, and some details behind it.
Well, I've got to admit that I usually pull it up on Google Maps every time there's something like this happens. And I didn't this time because I was too confused with the information that was given. So I thought I'd just get the clarification. And now I've pulled it up and it does become a lot clearer. So anyway, Kelly has made the motion. Any further? Yes, Kelly.
So I just wanted to pick up where Jeff left off. Access does come from the north, but that land has recently been sold to a new owner. So unless there was an easement put on that sale, there is no physical address or access to the campground. So that is the reason I'm bringing up the access. Just this spring has recently been been sold off by this family to another farming family. So just for clarification.
Yeah, no, thank you. Are we ready to vote? All in favor? Opposed? One opposed? It is passed. We have no post-agenda items. Is there anything in camera? Question period. Welcome, Ellen.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. We're just wrapping up MPC.
Okay, we had a few technical difficulties, but here I am.
Okay, that's good. We did phone you, we didn't get an answer back, so we thought maybe you were away. So we didn't wait, sorry.
No, no problem. Thank you.
Hello, Ellen.
Okay, any questions? You're good, Wayne? All right, then I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you all.